Hello, my loves. Welcome to your guide to self reflection. Sometimes we put off things that are good for us just because we don't know where to start. It's kind of like a paralysis that causes procrastination. So, here's your start to intentional self reflection. I'm going to be letting you into my safe space that I've curated through writing, reflection, and release. In addition to other healthy coping mechanisms, journaling is such a crucial outlet, and I truly believe that without journaling, you can never reach your highest potential of emotional intelligence. Just the simple tool of knowing yourself is something that I find is extremely overlooked. It's not something that we consider as part of the healing journey, the self development journey, and the journey of growth. We're constantly throwing around these terms of healing, setting boundaries, self growth, getting 1% better every day, and any form of change in your life is impossible to sustain without knowing yourself. Mohammed Isaac actually speaks on this and talks about how you need to learn your temperaments and to know yourself. But aside from that, just generally, if you don't understand the depths of your conscious and subconscious mind, you leave space for other people or messages to hijack you, even if you don't align with those things. Plus, you may actually be in a battle with the unknown and unexplored parts of your mind. Those parts could be holding you back from consistency, discipline, and being at ease when overcoming dark times. Now, let me not jump scare you or overwhelm you, but these are my weekly journals, I guess you could say. My little journal collection. This is not even all of them. I have other guided journals, but these are just my routine notebooks that I go to for different purposes. Journaling is simply the practice of writing down your thoughts, feelings, desires, ideas, or plans on paper. It doesn't have to be some fancy diary where it's like, Dear Diary, today I did this, this, this. It's more of a safe space where your mind can unload, process, and reflect without that influence of others and having to meet some expectation. It's really just your space to make whatever you want. And that's why it's really your personal safe space. At its core, journaling is about creating clarity by moving what's in your head onto paper. And when you put it that way, it's really simple. You're just transferring what's in your mind onto a physical paper. And that's how I want you to step into this journaling self reflection journey with the idea that it is really simple and you're not really holding yourself to this high standard to be perfect in any way. So, the reason that I have these multiple journals is because they each serve different purposes. We have what I call the soul dump for clarity, the visionary book for the vision scripts, and the productivity pad for those weekly outlines and to ensure that I'm reaching all my deadlines. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to deep dive into each of these different books and how I use them in my space and how you can get started to organize your journaling space. But first, I'll briefly explain the purpose behind each of these different domains. My soul dump is where I just let everything out. It's extremely unfiltered and raw and probably scary to read as an outsider, but that's why it's not for an outsider. It's just for me. I feel comfort in knowing that I can literally say anything without having to, live up to that standard to please others in what I'm saying. And I can just be so truthful and honest with myself without judgment. So, all of that overthinking, every little thought, when I'm in bed and the thoughts just keep running on certain scenarios, and I'm just kind of on this spiral where one thought leads to another thought, and I'm just completely overthinking everything, I should be writing that down. You should be writing that down when this instance happens to you. And this journal here, honestly, helps me offload those heavy feelings, even just the little things that have been bothering me. Once I write them down, it's a way to move forward with a lighter heart. Now, the visionary scripted journal is where I dream in detail. So sometimes I do guided prompts in this book, I will set intentions in this book, and I will script out my goals as if my duas, prayers, have already been answered. So this helps me align my daily actions with the future that I'm building for myself. It also keeps me grounded in trust and certainty in God's plan. And then, of course, the productivity pad. This is basically just my organizer and my planner. It really relieves my anxiety when I write down all of my different priorities just on the day to day or on a weekly basis. So, this is where I will outline my week and have everything structured on paper. So, this way I can review what time slots I can fit what into just to make sure that my to do list is dispersed across my week in a way that's balanced for me. And I think that since I'm a very visual person, this is why I need everything written down so I can visually see it. I don't know if you guys ever did those tests in elementary school to see if you were a visual, auditory, or kinesthetic learner, but I usually always scored very high in visual learning. So I guess it makes sense why I'd like to see everything written out. Not just my university deadlines, but like the errands I need to run, people I need to call, what workout I'm hitting at the gym on what days, and any plans with my family or friends. Literally everything needs a spot on my weekly outline. That way I can rest assured everything that I've prioritized is going to get complete. Also, guys, little sneak peek of my new abaya drop for Radiance by Zara 2025. So, if you're not familiar, I do have an abaya brand, and this is one of the new pieces that I'm going to be releasing, inshaAllah, in the next month, I want to say. And something new about this collection compared to my past collections is that there's a matching hijab with every single piece. So, this is just one piece. I actually have a lot more colorful pieces in the collection as well, and it's a cute flowy chiffon with the matching chiffon scarf. I'm obsessed. I will definitely have these linked below. I'm just really obsessed with how easy this is to throw on over anything. That's my favorite thing about open abayas. You can just throw them over top of anything: jeans, leggings, a loose dress. So, all of these journals combined make my journaling experience very intentional. Now, let's really deep dive into each of these and how you're going to use each of these different domains to organize your life and to thrive. Why do you need a soul dump? Because everyone needs somewhere where they can release everything in the most unfiltered way possible. You are lying to me. Don't lie to yourself and don't lie to me, okay? Like, we're besties, so don't lie to me. You have heavy emotions weighing on your chest, hurting your heart a little bit and just causing you to not see clearly. Or you notice that you're getting triggered over little things and it doesn't make you feel good to feel this anger and frustration. That's your emotions that you need to get out and you need to work through. Listen, if you feel like you don't have somebody who you can completely trust to talk to about your problems, about your emotions, that's okay. You have this paper and you have God, and that's all you need. Talk to those papers and talk to God. Those papers are going to be what you can physically talk to, and God is going to be your source of comfort. That's literally the cheat code. That's the method. I gave you guys the method. So when you find your thoughts are running and you're overanalyzing situations, ruminating and obsessing over outcomes that have already occurred, you need to write out those thoughts and transfer them from your mind to paper because that's how you release. Physically, you can't release what you don't set free. So you need to set free those thoughts. And how else can you do that if you don't write them down from what you're thinking and putting it from a non tangible source to a tangible source? That's how you let go and release. It will not happen if you just keep it locked up in here, talking to yourself over and over, that internal monologue playing. That is a trap. Even if you don't truly feel ready to address certain feelings, remember that nothing's going to disappear once you write it down. You won't lose control of the situations by transferring them onto paper. You will actually gain control and perspective by doing this. I'm going to be so honest with you right now. If you want to overcome the mountains that are blocking your blessings, you have to face your thoughts and internal monologue head on. And that's only possible by transferring from the intangible in your mind onto tangible paper so that you can release it and let it go from the jails of your mind. And if you are finding it difficult to complete this task of writing it down, then that's literally your brain stopping you. It's that jail. You're in that mental jail. So you need to come to that realization so you can set yourself free and just write it all down. Writing things down has actually given me a skill as well. It's not just for my well-being, but I've gained better communication skills through writing down all of my thoughts. I find that now it's way easier for me to communicate vulnerable things and have those difficult conversations. Whereas before I had practiced this regularly, I would often undermine my emotions and just fail to communicate. Because I wasn't writing down my emotions, I wasn't really understanding not only the purpose of them, but the right that I had to feel those emotions. My only goal was to keep everybody else comfortable as a result of my people pleasing behaviors and people pleasing mindset. But the truth is that keeping the people around you comfortable will never give you comfort. And if other people aren't prioritizing your comfort, then why are you putting yourself through discomfort for their sake? Now, this isn't to say that you should act selfishly. All your actions should have the intention of pleasing God behind them. And having good intentions is an act of worship. But make sure that intention isn't to please others, it's to please God at the end of the day. Okay, now that we're done with explaining this crazy, emotional, scary journal, you know what? Not scary. It's not scary. Honestly, I'm not even going to dare open this up on camera, but just know a lot of inner work happens in here. Next, we have the vision scripts. Now, this journal is a lot more demure and organized, so I can open her up and show you. We can actually start off with the intentions page. So at the beginning of the year, this journal I actually started fresh at the beginning of the year. And the first thing I wrote in it were my 2025 intentions, as well as an evidence portfolio. So in this journal, like I said, I do my intentions, track my progress, plan goals. So it's definitely a more calm space compared to the emotional dump. Now I'm going to explain all the different parts of this journal that make it so organized, and basically the different kind of activities, I guess you could say, that you can complete in this book. So first are the guided prompts. And if you've caught on from the content that I've posted about the journal club, you know that my friends and I love to reflect on journal prompts that are guided. And I would say that guided journal prompts definitely open the door to a new perspective because they actually cause you to question certain specific topics rather than just freely expressing what's on your mind. So they definitely help you dig a little deeper because they generate that deeper reflection on these specific topics. And with prompts, you actually have to answer questions, so it's kind of forcing you a bit out of your comfort zone in some scenarios. In fact, guided journal prompts have actually helped me a lot. While the emotional dump has helped me a lot to come to realizations, so have the journal prompts. I think I actually have one in here that I can give as an example. I'm really sharing my space here with you guys. Where is it? Oh, yes. The realization of power in slowing down. This was such a good prompt that I did because I actually came to a really good conclusion. So, how did this even start? I think there was like a couple different prompts that my friends and I were doing. I realized that I actually need to slow down. You know, living in this rush state, it's not good for me, and it's such an anxious state that I don't want to live in. It's not contributing to my growth, and it's not a feminine trait. So, with this realization, I actually took it a step further and I created this little mantra. I think ChatGPT did help me write this, but what is written for me will reach me even if I walk slowly, even if I rest. I do not need to rush what Allah has already destined. Peace is my pace. Sabr and tawakkul are my strength, and barakah lives in stillness. So basically, to just reassure me that success does live in slowing down and in a still lifestyle. You know, I don't have to be rushing and running and grinding every single day 24/7 in order to attract success. That's just one example of how amazing guided prompts can be and what they can trigger for you in really amazing ways. Yeah, so then the next thing is to set intentions. And then also, additional to that, is to track the progress of those intentions and where you're at in meeting them. So that's where the evidence portfolios come in. I have this little list where I wrote tracking progress. In January, well, every month I do this, but just an example is in January, I wrote down all of the little accomplishments that I had made. If this helps you guys, I'll give you a few little examples, even though it's very personal to me. So, some of the accomplishments were that I did an interview at this really good job. I went on a road trip. I brought one of my friends to the mosque. I fasted all of Ramadan. I released my first podcast episode, released my second podcast episode, sold a few abayas. I hosted a get together with my sister. I passed all my midterm exams. Alhamdulillah. Thank God. And the list goes on, but those are just some examples. And that was from February to March, some of the little accomplishments. And when I look back on that, it actually like warms my heart. It makes me so grateful to know that I did accomplish things and I have something to be grateful for. After setting goals, you have to track the progress. And the best way to do that is by making these lists of evidence. So, what I do is once a month, I'll make these lists of evidence. And this can actually be a root of positivity for you. If you feel like you're stuck in this negative state of mind, then maybe looking at all the little things that you've accomplished will put you in a better mood. And just reading that, even though that was months ago, like makes me so happy. It's giving me chills right now. And that's what happens when you shift into this gratitude and abundance and out of a scarcity mindset is you just really feel so much deeper gratitude. Like it makes me emotional almost, the amount of gratitude that I feel when I read back these things or just when I think about all of the blessings that I have. Subhanallah. Okay, now one more thing that I do in this journal is scripting. So it's basically writing in a state of answered dua as my reality. Just clock that line for a second. Living in a state of answered dua as your reality. Why don't you do that? I saw a post on TikTok that said you have to pretend to be asleep before you actually fall asleep. And the same applies to all other contexts. If you really think about it, any goal that you have, it's kind of like the term fake it till you make it. You have to act like you already have it, whether it's a state or a physical thing. Pretend you have your dream life. And a way that you can actually mentally implement this is by scripting. So, how do you script? Basically, you can just open this up and write down your dream life in the present tense. And you want to be very detailed and specific. It could just be like a day in your life, but with all the different aspects that would make it your dream life. From what you're eating to where you're going, to the way you're feeling, the people that you're with, and maybe even some of the physical things that you have. This technique uses neuroplasticity and the law of attraction to create new neural pathways that align your subconscious with desired outcomes. If you want your conscious and subconscious mind to evolve, you have to input into your mind the update that you want it to have. And that update is the future you want in detail. You have to embody the reality that you want before it actually physically shows up. And I know that we talk about how mindset is everything and mentally you have to believe it, but honestly, these little shifts that you make get you closer to that mindset that's going to give you the physical reality. And if you want more on shifting your mindset, I would recommend that you watch my episode from a few weeks ago called Transforming Your Frame of Mind, because it really starts with how you think of yourself, how you think of the world, how you think of God. And sometimes we just have a lack of knowledge and perspective. So it's up to you to contradict your ignorance and evolve your frame of mind. But one thing that I want to make clear about scripting is that it shouldn't be confused with manifestation culture, where you write things down and you expect them to just be given to you by the universe just because of that action or ritual of writing it down. With this mindset that we've curated, paired with scripting, it's about your effort, trust in God, and reflection, not just wishful thinking or believing that writing something down is going to get it for you. You are updating your mind to meet closer to Allah's plan and His power of what He can provide for you. When you use the perspective of one day I'll have this or I hope I can achieve this, you're living with doubt. And where does doubt get you? You're living with this lack of recognition of God's infinite power. He literally created this whole world. Let me remind you, He created the whole world, the heavens, the earth, everything. So, what makes you think He can't create this silly little dream you have? Not silly, not little, but from God's perspective of all the power that He has, it's not such a big thing for Him to just snap His fingers and hand it to you. So, what makes you think He can't create the desired dream life of your extreme imagination? It's your limited mindset, your limited beliefs that are causing you to believe that God's not going to give you what you desire, or that there's not enough to be given to you, or it's just your lack of understanding of how powerful God really is. So, when you are scripting, you're not only visualizing your answered dua, your answered prayers, you're also signaling to your subconscious mind that this is your reality. It's not just some figure of your imagination. And from a spiritual perspective, it's a way of writing in a state of yaqeen, certainty, that God has already answered your prayers because that's the truth. Remember, the present and the past, that's not all that exists. The future does too. And from God's perspective, that's all like one thing. It's not separate of one another. But to us, we believe that the future is separate, the past is separate, and the future feels very distant and far to us. But remember that in that future, your dua is already answered. So your dua is answered. So just live in that frame of mind. And with this, you're also embodying a greater trust in Allah, greater tawakkul, greater trust in God. You're aligning your energy and actions with the belief that what you asked for is already on its way. Okay, now let's not overlook this final journal. Maybe it's not as juicy, but it's still very necessary. And that's your productivity pad, your weekly outline. So I would say that this serves the purpose of easing stress and anxiety and just helping set out your priorities. Okay. So you can see here, I have my little weekly outline, and I just wrote down all the days of the week and then every task that I have to do from my midterms to my reviewing sessions, the timing of my lectures, my meetups with my friends, the time I scheduled out for the mosque, the time I scheduled out for the gym. Everything is written in here so that I visually can see how my week is going to go and how I'm going to fit in all my priorities into each day of the week. And then I also like to do little checklists on the side outside of my weekly organization. I have like an academic deadline checklist, and today's goals. So yeah, that just really helps organize my mind. And yeah, that's literally like a weekly ritual for me, like daily. I need to check this daily. And I've actually taken this as far as making a version on my Notion as well. So if you guys want a Notion tour, let me know. This really puts my mind at ease. Like, honestly, who am I without my weekly outline? It's a lot less stressful when you know how you're going to tackle your to do list and giving yourself enough time dispersing them throughout the week. And it also just feels really rewarding to check off all those little boxes on my to do list. So that was all three of my journals. Congratulations, guys. You really got the inside scoop to my life today. I hope that now you know journaling isn't just writing, it's a way of meeting yourself, shaping your vision, and creating balance in your daily life. Whether you start with a soul dump, the vision scripts, or a productivity pad, what matters is that you begin. Pick one method this week and stay consistent with it, and watch how clarity and growth will effortlessly follow. So, if you're about to grab a notebook and try one of these journaling methods, hit that like button so that I know we're on the same page, and drop a comment telling me which one you're starting with. And of course, subscribe so you don't miss the next step in your intentional self reflection journey. Oh, before you go, I also just got this really cute Coach journal to match my Coach tote bag for school, but I'm debating what I implement into this journal. So if you guys have any ideas or advice, should I make this into my weekly outline book, my productivity pad, or should I make it more of like my scripting journal? Or is there something else? Is there like a new purpose that I could find for this? Please help me out because I don't want to write in it until I know exactly what I'm organizing it with. Thank you for joining our space, and I hope to see you on the next episode.